Yes, boys, I was only 4'4" when I was 12 years old. I was like the shortest person in class. I've always been known as the shortest kid. And now I'm like just above 5'9". I'm 18, I'm just above 5'9". And I'm not the tallest person, but the way I've been eating and the way I've been training has definitely 100% increased my height. If I didn't eat the way I am, then I would be shorter. And if you want to maximize your potential height, then you definitely want to be eating these foods, which I'm going to recommend. So first of all, you want to be drinking raw milk. Now, milk in general is just, you need to be drinking it if you want to grow taller. It spikes your IGF-1, which basically is growth hormone. So if you want some free growth hormone, then just go and drink a ton of milk. Make sure you're getting the whole milk though. If you don't drink whole milk, then you're not going to get the IGF-1 spike. You're not going to get anything that you need, because the micronutrients, the nutrition is all in the fat. If you remove the fat, so if you get red skim milk, you know, it's just like milk flavored water, or you get semi-skim not as bad, but you want to be getting whole full fat milk. You want all the fat. Same with your yogurt, same with your cheese, whatever it may be, kefir. Make sure you're always getting the full fat thing, because when they remove the fat, they always just add like a ton of extra ingredients. Sometimes it's sugar, sometimes it is just like weird processed chemicals, you know, like lecithins, like things you just don't need for your body. They're going to stunt your growth. You want to actually be eating things that we've been eating for millions of years, which is meat, dairy, eggs, those type of things. Those things, animal products. Animal products is what you need to be eating for your height. The reason I recommend raw milk over just normal milk is because when you heat milk up, that's called pasteurization, and that is like the milk that you get in the store-bought, you know, in like a shop, store-bought milk. Pasteurization heats up the milk to kill all of the bad bacteria, even though you don't get bad bacteria like unless it's handled incorrectly, but it's not. If you get it from a good supplier, it's fine. Anecdotally, I've been drinking it for months, never had an issue. When you have pasteurization, it kills all of the nutrition. It basically denatures all of the enzymes, all of the vitamin A, the D, the K2, that kind of thing, everything. They all go, they all disappear, they all die. So you need to make sure that, well, you just eat raw dairy from now on, because that way you get all the nutrition. Now, número dos is just weightlifting. So lots of people say, oh my God, it'll stunt your growth. It won't. It won't. It only accelerates it. So even though it's quite stressful on your body, because, you know, it's not a natural thing to do, weightlifting. However, I think when you get like a bit of size on you, it just makes you look bigger. And if you look bigger in terms of muscle, then it just makes you seem bigger. It seems taller. And I mean, it could have just been puberty, but I find that as soon as I started weightlifting, I started at 14, I just started growing. Like from that point, I just started growing. So it's not exactly science, but if you want to, I just recommend weightlifting anyway, just because if you want to get some muscle, it just looks cool. And I don't think it stunts your growth. It scientifically doesn't stunt your growth, but I personally think it boosts it. So weightlifting, raw milk. Now you need to be eating a ton of eggs. 4 eggs a day minimum from now on. You want to go and get some eggs, you can just go and buy them from the shop, or when your mum buys them, your dad buys them, whatever. Just make sure you eat them. Just don't ask, excuse me, mum, can I have like 4 eggs a day? Because they'll say, no, 2 eggs maximum. Just eat the eggs. Just cook them yourself, eat them yourself. Make sure you get those eggs in. They've got a ton of fat. They've got a ton of protein. They've got the most bioavailable sources of protein you could possibly have. Bioavailability is how much of something you can absorb. So essentially things like nuts, say it's got 10 grams of protein, it's not very bioavailable because it is a nut, it is a seed. You won't be able to absorb all of that protein. So you'll probably get like 2 grams out of that 10 grams. And you don't want that, you want all the protein, because when you have protein, then you can build your muscles, grow taller, blah, blah, blah. So you want to make sure that you're getting high quality sources of protein, complete proteins with all the amino acids. That is bioavailability. They are in eggs. So make sure you're eating a ton of eggs. Also, it's got a ton of cholesterol in there, and cholesterol is actually good. It is the precursor to your hormones like testosterone. So if you have low cholesterol, then you have low testosterone. And you have the most amount of capability to have the most amount of testosterone in your life right now. If you're in puberty, you want to make sure you are maximizing your cholesterol, maximizing your testosterone. You need to be eating a ton of eggs. That is the best way to get them. That is the best way to get a testosterone boost just first thing in the morning. It sounds cringe, but it's important to optimize your hormones. That's how you do it. 4 eggs a day, raw milk, weightlifting, and now red meat. So you want to be buying things like beef mince, high fat beef mince. You just want high fat animal products. That is basically it. It is very simple. High fat animal products, because that is where all the nutrition is. You've been sold the lie that it's all in vegetables. You need to be eating like I don't know, like broccoli or spinach that's loaded with goitrogens. Like there's goitrogens in broccoli, which literally stops the uptake of iodine to your thyroid, meaning you can't produce hormones correctly, and you essentially get stupider. You become idiotic when you eat broccoli. The people who eat broccoli are less intelligent than if they weren't to eat broccoli, essentially. So you don't need things like vegetables. You get all of your nutrition from meat. You don't need anything else. You literally don't need anything else. Optimize meat, ton of red meat. That's got a ton of cholesterol in as well. Cholesterol is good for you. It's when you eat the unsaturated fats, for example, like, I don't know, olive oil or nuts or something, when you get unsaturated fats, that is when you oxidize your cholesterol because of the omega-6 fatty acids, because it has a ton of linoleic acid. I know I'm just spitting words at you, but you'll learn this eventually. It's got a ton of omega-6 fatty acids, which is called linoleic acid. And when you have a ton of linoleic acid in your skin, then your cholesterol oxidizes, your LDL, your low density lipoproteins, they get oxidized, and that's when it builds like plaque in your arteries and stuff, and that's when you get problems. It's not saturated fat. If it's saturated fat, then why is it in eggs, which is like a complete animal? Why is it in breast milk? It's literally a natural thing that we give to babies to help them grow, and that has got saturated fat in. Why is saturated fat bad? Doesn't make sense. We've been eating red meat for hundreds of thousands of millions of years. Hundreds of thousands of years as Homo sapiens, millions of years as sapiens in general. Why suddenly now is it a problem? Don't know. It's all for the money. So make sure you are eating a ton of animal products. That is essentially it. Another thing you can do is eat liver, beef liver. I think it tastes great. Some people are like, oh my God, it tastes terrible. But I don't think it tastes bad. I think it tastes lovely. Super, super cheap to get a ton of it. And you don't even need, you need to eat like that much per week because it's got a ridiculous amount of vitamin A. And it's got the correct form of vitamin A because things like carrots, they have beta carotene, which you can't convert correctly. So you want to get proper vitamin A, get some beef liver. It's got a ridiculous amount. You could eat that, like that much per week, and you'd have 10 times, 100 times more vitamin A than the rest of the population, the rest of your mates. So your eyes will be 10 times better than theirs, 100 times better than theirs. I like to call it your multivitamin. Instead of just eating like some random pill, like since when does an animal need to eat a pill to survive? Eat liver. That's what you're supposed to be eating. Cardio, make sure you're doing a ton of cardio. Whether that's like football or, you know, just some sport, make it fun. I like to go on the treadmill every single day, and rather than just like running and being really boring, I get like a PDF on my phone of like a book that I'm reading. So I just put it there and just like read my book as I'm doing my running and stuff. It's great. That's what I find works for me. So whatever you stay consistent with, whether it's like some sort of sports, whether it's, you know, cardio, like just running and I don't know, just like in a, wherever you can run, or if it's running on a treadmill, whatever you stick to, you need to get at least 10,000 steps a day. Absolute bare minimum, because then your heart can function correctly and then your body can work on building muscle and building height. Things like sprints, some people say it works, some people say it doesn't work. Sprinting boosts IGF-1, which is your growth hormone, so it essentially boosts growth hormone when you sprint. Some people say it's correct, some people say it's incorrect. You can try it out. I think it's not a bad thing to do sprinting anyway. Whether it works or not, you should probably just be doing sprinting anyway, because we used to sprint a lot back when we were caveman, and we just need to do what they were doing, because obviously they were just living naturally, so we need to be doing that. And speaking of naturally, we need to be in a ton of sun. We need to get a ton of vitamin D, and you need that from the sun. If you're in a country like England, like I'm in, it's not very easy to get sun, so just try and do your best to spend most amount of time outside. Don't get like some sunbed or some spray tan or something. When you have a tan, it just looks so much better. Your body just looks better. I know this isn't to do with height, but just in general, you just need to get like a ton of sunlight. You just want to be living as naturally as possible. If you don't live naturally, then how are you supposed to grow correctly? It's like if you're eating terrible food that are designed from a lab, why would you grow? If you're not drinking milk, why would you grow? That's the point of milk. Just all these things. We just need to think, what were our caveman ancestors doing 100 million years ago? Do that. Just do that. And then you will get to your height potential. Ton of animal products, ton of milk. That is basically all you need. And exercise as much as possible. possible. If you want to ask me any questions, drop them in the comments or go to my school community, which is the first link in the description. And I've got a ton of guides on nutrition and making sure you can make the most amount of progress, be the healthiest version of yourself, build the most amount of muscle, feel the best, have the best version of your skin, be lean, all the good stuff, all the information, all the knowledge, all the amazing knowledge is in that school community. I've spent a ton of time optimizing that, just like my health, to make it as good as possible. So I will see you over there. Good night.